They say the deepest cuts are made by the hands that once rocked you to sleep. I was 22 when I walked across that stage in a rented black gown, clutching a degree I'd paid for with blood caffeine and midnight cleaning shifts. The arena roared for someone else's child. My row in the family section stayed empty, 2 seats side by side like a missing tooth. I smiled for the photographer anyway. Smiling had always been cheaper than explaining. The next morning I woke to 17 missed calls and a single voicemail from my cousin Naomi, the only relative who still bothered to check if I was alive. "Rory," she whispered, as if the walls themselves might be listening, "your mom and dad are telling the entire church you just signed a fat contract with a biotech startup in Boston. They're taking bridge loans from widows and youth group parents. They've got a folder with your forged signature. Get here before someone calls the police, or before I do." I drove the 40 minutes to the house I grew up in with the radio off, windows down, letting the cold punish me awake. Absence had been my first language. Age 8, I won the county art prize. Mom was at Mason's travel soccer tryouts 3 towns over. She sent Dad with a drugstore card that said, "Sorry I missed it, kiddo." Age 12, I qualified for the state math Olympiad. Dad forgot, took Mason fishing instead. Mom's excuse that week was deadlines. My brother could bring home a C- and still get steak dinner. I brought home perfect scores and got asked if I was trying to make the rest of us feel bad. College was the final exam in invisibility. I worked campus security 4 a.m. shifts, then tutored rich kids in calculus so I could eat something besides instant noodles. Every Thanksgiving, Mom told the extended family how tight money was because Rory's pre-med track is so expensive. Uncles slipped me 50s for textbooks. I never cashed a single one. Pride or penance, I still can't decide. So when Naomi said they were selling a version of me that didn't exist, I wasn't even shocked. Just tired. Bone deep, ancestral tired. I pulled up to the split level on Cedar Ridge at 10:07 a.m. The driveway was full, Pastor Tim's Prius, Mrs. Alvarez from the food pantry committee, 2 deacons I recognized from childhood potlucks. Through the picture window, I could see my mother passing around manila folders like communion wafers. I didn't knock. I used the key I'd never returned, the one that still had the faded dinosaur sticker from 5th grade. Conversation died the second I stepped inside. Mom's smile froze mid-welcome. Dad wouldn't look higher than my shoes. On the dining table sat a neat tower of cash, checks paper-clipped to promissory notes that all carried my name in my mother's handwriting, trying to look like mine. Pastor Tim cleared his throat. "Rory, your parents said you personally asked us to help tide them over until your relocation bonus." "I've never spoken to you about money in my life," I said. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone braver. Mom tried laughter first, then outrage. "This is family business, Rory. You're embarrassing us." I set my own folder down, thicker, heavier, tabbed in calm colors. Inside, for years of payment confirmations, work-study contracts, every grant I'd clawed for. The room went so quiet I could hear the grandfather clock my grandmother left them tick like a heartbeat. Naomi appeared behind me, arms crossed, phone already recording. "Keep going," she murmured. "Half the church is live-streaming this in the parking lot." Mrs. Alvarez was the first to move. She took her check off the pile, tore it in half, let the pieces flutter to the carpet like snow. One by one, the others followed. Mom's face cycled through every shade of red I'd never been allowed to show. Dad just aged it, the same sound he'd made when Mason wrecked the car and blamed me. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. The silence I'd inherited had finally grown teeth. When the last envelope was reclaimed, I closed my folder. "Next time you need something," I told them, "try asking the sun you actually see." I walked out while the front door was still open, sunshine pouring in like it had been waiting years for an invitation. 6 weeks later, I loaded a U-Haul headed for a city whose area code they don't know. I left the dinosaur key on the kitchen counter next to 2 untouched slices of the grocery store sheet cake they'd bought for my graduation party that never happened. My phone buzzed once on the interstate. "Mom, we can explain." "Dad, please call." I blocked both numbers, rolled the window down, and let the wind tear the past right out of my hands. Some doors you don't slam. You simply walk through them and never hand over the key again.